What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we've got a doozy of a show lined up for you today. Now, Bitcoin is still boring in price, but we've seen some excitement over the last 6 to 8 hours that are showing the breakout I referenced this morning. It's coming, and it's coming very, very soon. But the question is, which way are we going? Technically, the charts actually show both an ability for a short squeeze, possibly up to 50,000 or higher, but there's also a possibility of a long squeeze sending us back down to mid $30,000 level. Which one is going to happen? We have got a fantastic show lined up for you guys today. Before I introduce our special guest for the show today, let me introduce our co-host, Mr. T. Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T. Shroom, what is going on? How are you feeling today?
Oh, Tim, I'm feeling really, really better than I deserve. We've got goodness gracious.
Vivek. Yeah. That's our special guest, Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I wish. That'd be awesome. No, but we've got a really good guest today. I'm excited to bring you all the guest that we've got today. We've got a couple of headlines that are interesting that we'll definitely want to cover. Yeah, I mean, it's more sideways moving on the charts, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be showing any signs of stopping anytime soon. So it's a little bit wishy-washy. These markets are kind of waiting to make a decision, and we're going to take some time today to try to see if we can get down to the nitty-gritty of what those arguments might be and which going to be more compelling. But we've got some sad news I want to just start off with that'll kind of be our quote of the day. And you saw it on my screen, a little bit of a hint, which is that pro-crypto president candidate Vivek Ramaswamy has suspended his campaign and endorsed Donald Trump. And this might not be sad news for some people, especially if you don't
I was going to say, when you said sad news, I thought like someone had died or something. No. I was like, oh no, what happened?
It's sad news for libertarian,
for pro Vivek Ramaswamy voters. Right. Yes, sad news. Yes.
So we won't spend too much time on that, but he was very pro crypto, very pro Bitcoin, and that'll be our quote of the day.
I don't think we've seen the end of old Vivek. I think we'll see him again very, very soon. But also, who we're going to see very, very soon, meaning in the next couple of seconds, we are joined by the amazing, the great, maybe. I think he's my favorite technical analyst in all of the crypto world.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Piano Matty B is on the show. Matty B, how are you doing today? Loving the fedora, loving the sweater, the jacket. I got to get me one of those. I always have a bland, either black or brown hoodie. It's become my thing, but I need me one of those. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. Besides it being minus 25 up here in Canada, it's cold as heck, but we're getting through it. The funny story about this one is that I got it about 2 years ago, and I'm the kind of psycho that if I like something I wear, I'll go and buy like 3 of them just because I'll wear them out. I can't find it anywhere. Okay. It's on my Amazon save list. I can't find it.
Oh no!
Very familiar with the Amazon save list.
Goodness gracious! All right. Well, loving the shirt. Let's go ahead and dive on in here. So happy to have you on here. Let's talk about the big king of crypto, Bitcoin price, confusing some of the smartest people out there. What are you seeing on the Bitcoin chart? We got some consolidation over the last 4 days, but we're going to be having a breakout coming soon. What are you seeing? What are you expecting over the next couple of days or weeks?
Well, listen, I want it to go to 50K just like everybody else, right?
Yes.
I want to see that upside, but I do have a probability down to, now, cover your ears, some people, 28K. Do you want to see how it gets to 28K? And this is just a hypothetical situation going here. If I go to the charts, I can show you guys. Are you guys ready to go to some charts?
Yeah. This is what we're here for. Let's see those charts.
Okay, so, where am I going here? There we go. I'm watching you guys actually. So this is the daily chart, right? Here's the daily chart. We are currently, as you can see, in the fortnight market lobby, waiting for price action to commence because we're not really doing anything, just chopping sideways here. Now, if we were to have continued bearish pressure and we collapse down past 39.6, which is that support line. We start building out that. What does that look like to you? Well, thanks for asking. It's a head and shoulders pattern. So that head and shoulders pattern plays out all the way down to 28K-ish. Can you see how I get there now? I don't want to get there, but can you see how we get there?
I'll tell you what, you say we don't want to get down there. If we can promise that that's where we're going to go and that's the lowest we're going to go, I would love to go down there because that means I could buy some cheap Bitcoin once again, which would be amazing. Amazing. Is there anything else you're seeing? I agree. That's 100%. You're right. I hadn't actually even looked at the market that way. That would be a head and shoulders pattern. Are you seeing anything else potentially in confluence with 28,000? Because I've heard people talk about 27, 25. Obviously, I've talked heavily about 31,000. Is there anything other than in the head and shoulders pattern talking about 28,000?
No, it's just really getting there from, like, I don't want to go there. Listen, I think we'll find support because I really do believe that there's so many hodlers out there that are waiting for price dips, right? So we see it on both ends. That's why we're in this crazy channel. We'll get a bounce, we'll get a sell. We'll go down, we'll get a bunch of people buying in, right? But I mean, in the next 3 months, we don't really have anything going on. It's a very quiet first quarter, right? We might some FOMC meeting, maybe some CPI, but who cares? That's just a little knee jerk that morning, and then it'll settle down and revert to the mean. But until that halving, I mean, what's really going to push the price? What do you guys think?
Yeah, that kind of leads to Tisha. I don't know if you have a thought here, but leads to maybe a second question. But you go ahead while we're on this topic.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the questions I've been asking in the 9 a.m. stream. We do at 3 p.m. and in the 9 a.m. stream Eastern Standard Time. So there's 4 main bullish narratives that I'm kind of thinking that are going to draw in new capital from the markets, and that's going to be number 1 is kind of the potential of a Fed rate cut, right? That every month that kind of rustles up some news, some headlines. I don't think that's going away, but I do think that is not going to be as impactful of a force, of an economic force as it was in 2023. But that generally should be bullish. The continuation of kind of discussions and chatter from Jerome Powell on rate cuts, and then if we actually get a rate cut, no matter what anybody says, rate cuts are bullish, right? But the reason why they're cutting could indicate to the market, and specifically the bond market, bearish signals, right? But don't people sometimes get it twisted because oftentimes rate cuts will kind of kick off a recession or kind of correlate with a recession. It's still a bullish event. It's just throughout history, historically, that correlation kind of spooks the bond market, so to speak. So that's the first bullish narrative. And then you have the ETF for Ethereum, the spot Ethereum ETF. That's going to bring in some capital. Obviously, Ethereum is different from Bitcoin, but there could be some kind of inflows, just diversifying into crypto. And then you have the Asian thaw, right? China and Hong Kong. Potentially kind of maybe this is the time that they Q1 or Q2 they go ahead and play that card and open up the Chinese markets to crypto more than they already are. And then the halving, as you mentioned, is kind of that other big bullish narrative.
Yeah, I would even say, I'm interested what you think about this, Matty. One of the processes I'm kind of running through my brain is, we did kind of have a moment. Some people predicted the sell the news event, but some people were talking about the billions that would inflow and how bullish it would be. Of course, we have gone down in price. I will say not that significantly. 15% when you really think about it is not that significant of a pullback. It hasn't felt very good. It's been the most significant pullback we've had since this run started in October. But I'm also very aware of the fact that right now, BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck, Grayscale, they all are in the process of trying to acquire as much Bitcoin supply as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to confuse and to misdirect the market through their methods and the means they have, being as a majority of them actually control the media. And to me, I see a scenario very much for one more good pump. I've kind of addressed it kind of a lower end, $47,000, $48,000 range, upper end, $53,000 to $55,000, where maybe we get the juices flowing again. Like right now, overwhelmingly, retail sentiment is kind of negative. Like people are preparing for those lower dips, those lower prices. And so it's the perfect time to potentially gather some supply. If we shake it, like clearly we stopped now for the last 4 days. They're struggling to push us below 42,000. Well, the next best scenario is pump the price, change the sentiment, get everyone bullish again. Seeing a 5 in front of the Bitcoin price could make a lot of retail investors who don't know technical analysis, who don't know how to follow these markets, who don't understand how to read the sentiment, they all of a sudden are really bullish. They're wanting to buy. Now, all of a sudden, you have new profit. Let's sell some of this pressure, scare the retail investors, dip down to 31,000, maybe 28,000. Well, guess what happens to newer retail investors? They see that price crumble, and they see headlines that say 10,000, which I do believe are starting to sprout back up. Now, all of a sudden, they sell their Bitcoin at 31,000, 28,000, and that's the perfect time for the gobbling from these institutions to gobble up that Bitcoin and then send us to the moon. So while I agree with you, I don't think we're going to see any sustained bullish market. I don't think we're seeing new all-time highs. I don't think we're going to see a long period of bullish candles again before the halving. That's the next major avenue, the next major outlet. But a series of manipulation. We were just at 49,000 5-6 days ago. To get back to 49, to get to 50 is really not that hard for the market to do on short notice and then shake out those weaker hands. That's kind of the scenario I'm looking at. I'm interested what your thoughts are about that potential scenario.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember this last cycle. I don't remember this kind of reverse FOMO where all the hodlers were secretly wanting it to stay down and to pick up lower Bitcoin. I mean, last cycle, everyone was just chomping at the bit for the bull run to take off. It couldn't take off faster. Now I find the sentiment, and maybe it's because the typical Bitcoin investor is a little more knowledgeable now, right? They have more history to look past, and they're like, well, it'd be pretty sweet for it to go down to 31. It'd be pretty sweet for it to go to 28, right? None of us really want it. We'd all be really happy if it exploded and never came back. But I've never seen anything like this. And speaking of sentiment, I always refer to this squash club that I'm a member at in Winnipeg. It's just a bunch of squash players, but there's a lot of finance guys there. And it's shocking to me that these finance guys, I mean, day in, day out, they're, suggesting all these BS RRSPs and mutual funds to their old boomer investors. I'll always talk about BlackRock and the ETF and Bitcoin, and it's just they have no clue. We're talking about, whatever they take about 60 hours of education to become financial advisors. Okay, that's great. But for them to not even know that there's an ETF, a spot ETF Bitcoin that was about to be approved and that is approved, for them to not even hear about it always blows my mind and just makes me think, I guess as early as I think we are, we're not as early as we actually are.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I agree. Again, it's one of those things. My beginning, it's actually crazy. I've now been in pretty close to the 4-year cycle as a whole. My beginning, you're right. Most people just wanted to go up, up, up and to the right. I think as the market's matured, as the average retail investor has matured, we've learned to appreciate I like when price goes up and to the right, but ultimately, I know the best time to buy is when the price is low. So now the wrestling match is, when is it low enough? Because, I mean, that's the thing, is like some people, I've met people who are rooting for a pullback down to 20,000. Are rooting for back to 15,000. I mean, let's be honest. Again, if I had a crystal ball and I knew the exact bottom of Bitcoin's price, I'm going to sell everything right now, be patient, buy and put every dollar I have in at that bottom price. The problem is that bottom going to be 32,000? Is that bottom going to be 28,000, 25,000, 20,000? Are we going to double bottom at 15,000? I think we're getting to the realm of less likelihood that you're going to find less and less numbers of people agree with. But yeah, I mean, how many people are going to wait for 25,000, but then we bottom out at 28, or they're waiting for 28 and we bottom out at 32, or even this is the one that I've seen kind of growing from some analysts I really respect. While I'm a firm believer in 31,900, 32,000, there's a lot of support sitting around 36,000, and there's going to be a lot of people who are convinced when we touch 36,000 that that's just the beginning. We have to go lower. What if we only go down to 36 from here? I mean, we've never had an ETF in the history of Bitcoin. We've never had this massive amount of demand from institutional dollars coming into the space. we might need to throw rules and history to the wind and realize this is a whole new world for Bitcoin that we might need to just kind of hodl, be happy with our positions, and kind of just wait for the chaos to ensure and ride this thing up. Because I think most of us, maybe there's a couple still out there that disagree, but most of us feel pretty certain that we are going to be seeing six figures for Bitcoin price within the next 12 to 24 months. Are you in agreement with that?
I'm
Maybe.
delusionally bullish, so I'm
Okay, there we
always
go.
I'm always up for 100K. But I mean, when you speak of 36K, there's a textbook bear flag right on the daily that will take us right to 36K if it plays out. It's just a textbook bear flag, so I can see it getting there, and getting there at 36 would build out that right shoulder, right, and then
Yeah.
boom, we're done. But there's nothing I'd like more than 100.
So I've got a little bit of a trade psychology take on this. So looking at the charts, for me, I'll make this brief because there have been buyers back as far back as December 11th, which is actually my birthday. On this daily candlestick, we have not gotten a candlestick close below 41,000. Right, ever since then. And the last time we were there was December 4th, very, very early December. So what I'm trying to think is like, what is the sell thesis, and what is and why would I not buy? Like the folks that were buying all through back here, and we did come back and test this and got a wick down in January 3rd, so early January. So the trade, from a trade psychology standpoint, if there's buyers all through here coming in and nibbling, right, the only reason why we would break through that support is because these buyers are exhausted, right? Or they think, right, that Bitcoin is going to go lower and they're going to wait for that lower entry. But that from a trade psychology standpoint might actually end up in kind of a faulty game theory, because you want to because if my buy thesis is to wait and buy it lower, is you're counting on people's impulses. You're counting on people to not be impulsive at 41,000 and go ahead and enter in that historic spot where we've only gotten wicks in this new year. So I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but from just a pure trade psychology standpoint, there's been no candle body closes again since December 11th below 41,002. Okay, we know that. The latest candle bodies, and I'll go back to my screen, and the latest even wicks have not even gotten that to that level, much less the candle bodies, right? Before a resumption higher to more than likely come and test this midline of the Bollinger Band, right? But where are the sellers going to be coming from to sell here? I think a lot of new money entered here, and so that explains this big red candlestick here. That kind of makes sense. You have new money coming in, scared money, especially that bought north of 47, which there was certainly a good bit of, and then you also have just traders who are buying low and selling high. That does kind of make an explanation for this big sell off here and a sell off down to 41.6, right? But what is the sell thesis from here? Unless you really think it's going to go much lower, and you're trying to come free up some liquidity to buy down at that maybe perhaps 28 level. So ultimately, you guys are being bearish. I'm trying to create that bullish. This could be the lowest we ever see Bitcoin, right? Today, 43,003. I doubt it. I do think that we'll make a test lower before we go up to those all-time highs. Just kind of generally, I think that makes sense. But what's the sell thesis here? And all those buyers that were buying throughout December, not letting the price go down below 41.2, I don't know that they went anywhere. I think they're still there on the sidelines. And if price can go down lower, they get happy, right? But I think that they get a bid there at 41.2.
Yeah, well, I always kind of think that wicks belong to retail. Like when you see a wick, that's just the retail getting whiplashed around the motorboat around the lake, right?
Yeah.
So in this little chop that we're experiencing now, I really think it's just quant bots. They're just following the algorithm. If this, then that. If that, then this. And if there's enough, if this, then that at that sell point, then we'll see that dip, and then that engages more algorithms too. But I don't think retail really pushes the market at this point. I think they're just getting whipped around on these wicks.
Yeah, I believe it. And again, I think that there is. I'm beginning more and more to believe that the thesis for a 35,000 and perhaps even a a $31,000 Bitcoin. I think a 28 is a bit of a stretch for me, but I think that 35, 31 is potentially in the cards. I'm not going to be shocked. I'm certainly not going to be panic selling at those levels by any means. But I do think that I'm kind of the opinion now, kind of having more of a bullish bias, is like if we were gonna drop down below those levels of 41.2, I think we would have already done it. We had the opportunity to do it. We had the bearish momentum kind of build up here. And, sellers didn't pull the trigger. Sellers said, no, I kind of want to keep my Bitcoin here, we shook out the scared money. Now, the way I would be wrong is if that scared money, there was money that they could not afford to lose. They had the balls to keep it. They had the diamond hands, but that is not going to be, by the end of January, they're going to have rent due and they're going to have to sell Bitcoin. So there's that sell thesis for sure. If there's been new money come in that does have some conviction, didn't sell out of panic, the 45 level, and now they're they're coming up against some kind of payment, some kind of debt payment that they're going to have to liquidate to service, that could be a sell thesis.
I will say, T-Shirt, you have made a case that I actually really appreciate the merit of, but also works against would be the perfect scenario for a dramatic drop to a price like 28,000. Not that I'm necessarily predicting that either. I do think at this point 28 might be even a little low for me, or at least I'm not going to wait for 28 to purchase. But with how strong this support is, if the title of this video, and we're going to explore it here in a second, we're going to explore a short squeeze up to 50K, but what about a long squeeze? And when you have such a strong level of support that's been defended now several times with billions of dollars, if it is lost, you just lost your floorboard. I mean, if you're on a second story and the floor is strong, but the minute you poke a hole, you don't just stop in the middle of the room. You're going to fall all the way to the next level. And let's think about that. Like, we have a little bit of one. Yeah, they're around 35, 36, but with how fast we blasted through, like we should have had resistance at 32. We should have had resistance around 33, 35. We blasted through all this stuff. And so now with that really strong support level, that floor at 41.2, 41.3-ish area, if we lose it, that could be a long squeeze that sends us right through not just one level of floor at 35. That could be what sends us below that one. And then we pick up momentum and the bears are just like a large snowball. They wreck through 32 and then they drop to almost an unexpected level at 28. Because I think if we break 32, the masses are going to start moving their numbers to 25. So where I'm helping make this case for 28, my level is 32. But if we lose 32, 28 actually becomes very, very interesting because the default brain is going to be, oh, now we have to hit 25. And it's like, well, tell me where. And, Matty, you tell me too, like where do we do things exactly how we're supposed to do them? The markets love to throw curveballs at us left and right.
I think the most important thing you said there is how fast we moved up, right? So everyone that's been heavily invested their time wise, right? When we were shooting to the moon from 28 to 31 to 32, we were like, this is awesome. And then we started thinking, this is a little too fast. This is a little too fast. It's still awesome. And we never really did proper testing. So there is weak support down at that level if we are to ever go down there. And I have one more thesis why it could go down there. And that's because I'm happy with my Bitcoin allocation so far. So the universe knows that, and it just wants to punish me and go back down and make me second guess my purchases.
I love it.
Yeah. That's a good take there. Matty, it has been awesome having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I cannot let you go though without playing a song for the Bros community. So do you have a song for us?
And before you play the song, I have a factoid from the Factoid Elf that is very specific for Piano Matty B. This factoid is brought to you by NordVPN. If you're looking for great computer security across your devices, go check out NordVPN in the description of this video. What powerful European family employed Bartolomeo Cristofori when he invented the piano in 1700? Was it the House of Medici? Was it B, the Rothschild? Was it C, House of Habsburg? Or D, the Romanov family.
See, those are all difficult choices because you could go with House of Medici because they basically invented the monetary system back in the day, although Rothschilds are currently in control of it. Then you have the House of Habsburg. But the reason why I don't think it's C is because they were basically an inbred dynasty. And I think they probably lost their interest in music or couldn't understand it. And then the Romanov family. So I'm gonna cancel two. I'm gonna cancel Habsburg, and I'm gonna cancel Romanov family. Am I still in the standing with A or B?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you until Tim guesses, and you lock in your answer.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Habsburg's just, there's no way that it was going to be C. Matty's there. I have no freaking idea whatsoever. I played the piano for a little bit. You're who?
I'm going with Rothschild because House of Medici is a little early. Like their dynasty lasted so long that at 1700, I think the Rothschilds would have been there by then.
All right, Tim.
I'm tempted.
You going to follow Piano Matty B into B, or are you going to pick your own? Choose your own destiny here.
Man, I'm tempted to go with different just to make it more fun, but he's Piano Matty B. If he says something about a piano, then I have to agree. So I'm going to go with B as well. We're going Rothschilds.
All right.
Let's see what we got.
All right. Well, the answer is neither of you got it right. It is A. Yeah, the invention of the piano is credited to Bartolomeo Cristofori. That's his year of life, but piano was invented in 1700, even, I guess, of Padua, Italy, who was employed by Ferdinando de Medici, Grand Prince of Tuscany, as a keeper of the instruments. And this is a picture of the guy who employed the guy who invented the piano. So he's a good-looking guy, and I think I think he would agree with me that Bitcoin is not going to go below 41.2. So thank you guys for playing.
There we go.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, on as you play it out, first of all, make sure you guys are subscribed and following Piano Matty B. Links in the description down below. Share my screen here real quick. This is his channel. Make sure that you guys are over here and you hit this subscribe button and you watch all of his content. Oh my goodness, there's some great stuff in here. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but go watch this. If you want good TA, but you also want to chuckle and have a laugh, Piano Matty B is your guy.
Perfect.
On his way out, Piano Matty B, what do you have for us for a closing song?
I'm going to dedicate this to the GOAT, Dave Digital. This is particular. I wrote this for everyone in crypto. It's called FOMO and at the top. Everybody's jumping off a bridge. All my friends are doing drugs. Everybody's cracking beer. Who the heck am I to judge? I suppose I shouldn't care, but influencers everywhere telling me I'm missing out. Drinking on their alpha boats. I couldn't take it. I FOMO'd in at the top. Couldn't stop myself. I FOMO'd in at the top. Now I'm down a lot. I should have held court while resistance became support. I should have held court till resistance became support.
Wow.
Don't FOMO at the top, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it. I love it.
Piano Matty B, everybody. Once again, go follow him. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. We'll see you again. Let us know in chat if you guys want to get Matty B back on very, very soon. Would love for him to be a new regular.
See you guys.
Man, the crowd loves you. The crowd absolutely
loves you. All right.
Take it easy.
Good stuff here. Well, always a pleasure having Matty B. You know, I think that's actually the first time he's been on this channel. I got to do some stuff with him a little bit over on Coffee and Crypto, and I've done other shows with him, and he's, man, I'm telling you, my favorite technical analyst because he keeps it fun. He keeps it from getting too mundane and too boring, which is something that happens in technical analysis. In case you guys have not put two and two together, I love TA, but I even get bored sometimes doing it, and he's changed the game for all of us. What was, before we dive in and go deeper here, we'll probably look at news, T-Shroom. Overall, had you considered 28? Did he change your mind at all? Are you still super bullish? No way we get to 28,000, or was that a compelling case that was made?
So I'm kind of buying here, right? I'm nibbling back into. I'm not buying Bitcoin spot, I'm buying BitX, which is that double leverage ETF. It's been out for a while. It's at the futures, but I'm nibbling that here. I've got a good entry, and I'm messing up my average entry to do that. But that's I'm kind of nibbling here. I'm not going to deploy a big amount of capital, but that has a lot more to do with the fact that I've got a wedding in June. So I've got to save what I can. I can't afford to lose a lot more money than I could afford to lose back in October when I was deploying. So I'm glad that I made those decisions then. In terms of levels that are relevant to you watching, though, who don't have a wedding in June, I think there's a good chance that this is kind of as low as we go. I think in good kind of Bitcoin tradition, I think what could happen here is that we have like a wick down. We have a wick down to some kind of crazy level, 35, 31. But it's not, unless you have limit orders down there, you're not going to hit it, right? You're going to be eating lunch, talking with your friends. It's going to go down, boom, come back up in the span of 30 minutes. You're not going to have time. I think that's the most likely scenario, in my opinion, just because of the, how consistent that this level has been, right? There's just not been selling. There's not been candle body closing below 41.2. The obvious arguments for this, is what has been stated already. He hasn't changed my mind about 28, but I'm, when we start getting down to those levels and thinking about how low can it go, I'm just like, I guess part of my brain kind of tunes out, because it's like I just go back into the same mindset that I've had, since the last bull market, which is just this bear market, just DCA. That has changed. I've entered a different mindset since we've kind of gone into this first inning of what I consider to be the bull market, right, for crypto. So mentally, I'm prepared either way. I'm fine emotionally and financially, which you should be too. If you're not, you need to change that immediately. Do what you need to do to change that immediately. But I'm sitting here like, man, there's a good chance that all the FUD we're seeing in the news is trying to get people to kind of shake out, trying to push the price lower. But ultimately, the event that we just had was so bullish. The sell-off, the volatility that we saw was so measured for Bitcoin. We could see more downside, but honestly, I'm starting to have more of a bullish bias, because if we were going to push below 41.2, we would have already done it. And the buying thesis is so much stronger than the selling thesis here.
Well, before we jump into news, T-Shroom, let's do this. Let's go even and take a little bit deeper look at the charts. Matty B did a great job kind of laying out some good stuff here. As he said, there is, if we were to drop down here and then kind of hesitate at 36, it'd be a weird head and shoulders pattern, but it would be a head and shoulders pattern where it's not so much like this guy really didn't do shoulder day. If the price drops, it kind of does this thing where if I grab my marker, come on now, play with me here. And we kind of drop and then do this thing, like he said. Yeah, a lot of times you see rounded shoulders, but you don't necessarily have to see them. I think another thing that is important to note also about patterns, first of all, no matter what chart you're looking at, patterns are not 100%. Definitely seen lots of times in Bitcoin's history, we've seen regular head and shoulders patterns, inverse head and shoulders patterns that even looked beautiful, and then they did not play out the way they really should have. So you always got to keep that with a grain of salt. But I do think that, again, there's some interesting things definitely at play there. Let's take a look at the liquidations, though, because this is where the title really is stemming from. And this is right now the daily chart over here on High Blocks. And you're going to see something kind of similar if you guys were using a free version over on CoinGlass. But yeah, take a look at what we have going on here. Some pretty high liquidity below us. This could bring a kind of a long liquidation that would put us to where? Right here, about $36,000. Look at that. We got bright yellow here at about 41.3. We have more here at 38.5. And then we kind of run out of steam. Yes, there's some sitting right in here at 35, but we kind of run out of steam right here around $36,000, $35,000 level. Whereas above us, again, we have a pocket here at 44.2. We have a pocket at 47,000. We have the most amount of liquidations on this chart sitting all the way up here at 51,000. And then you kind of come into a little boring phase where, yes, there's some here at 55, but not necessarily a whole heck of a lot. This, to me, is still a very interesting spot when we're looking at the charts. Again, something we've talked about now for a couple of videos. 4-hour chart Bollinger Bands coming into constriction. It has not broken out. We're still sitting in a spot. We're waiting for a breakout, but we are definitely pushing and applying pressure to the top end of these Bollinger Bands. keep an eye on those levels to the upside. Also, I've seen there's been some confusion here when it comes to levels on the CME gap. Now, I'm here on the 4-hour chart, right? This is the CME tool. Some people are going to look down here at the 4-hour chart. They're going to see on the 4-hour chart, this blue candle, this is a bearish candle, closed right here at 43,425. And of course, today we wicked above that. Some people are going to be teased into thinking, guys, we filled the CME gap. We're good to go. As a rule, though, I like to see where we do go on the daily chart. On the daily chart, this level is 43,680. We have not filled this gap just yet. We have further room to the upside, pressure to the upside. And then, like I said, when you start to get into those short squeeze scenarios, going back to the liquidations, if we can apply and get some momentum significantly, we have a target up here at 44. Well, let's go up that high. We get above 45 just to carry momentum. And all of a sudden, maybe the bears are a little taking it back because we shot up there quickly. Now we have a level not that high above us. And the more and more we take out, you could start this whole snowball effect. Where does the snowball really come to an end? Where it has the strongest magnet? All the way up here above at $51,000 versus when I'm looking at the bearish scenario, I'm not saying we don't drop down to 41,000. As T-Shroom kind of said, that's been a really strong level of support. The problem is when we're looking at the bearish chart, that's the magnet. Yeah, we have a glimpse of yellow down here, but the strongest bearish pull right here is all the way up high versus for the bulls, the strongest magnetic pull is all the way up above 50,000. Again, cannot predict with any type of 100% certainty which way we're going. But I still want to lay out that scenario of T-Shroom makes a good point. There's a lot of support sitting at this range. We have not dipped below these levels in a while. This could continue to be strong support with one more fake out again to the upside. Worst case scenario, some here are 47, 48. But I believe better case, best case scenario, 51 to 53 range. Before now, all of a sudden, there's a new catalyst. Now you have all of these buyers who have been buying very loyally. Every time we retest it, they're buying up more supply. Now they want to take some profit. We wicked up to 49,000 so fast. Very few people actually got to take profit. And the reason why we see such heavy liquidations here at 51 is because that's where a lot of people were expecting price to get over 50,000, but also because we probably had so many shorts come in this area right here below 50,000 that they think that they're safe. It's the perfect storm scenario to rise up, crush those bear spirits. But now the people pushing the price up, institutions, they take over, they create their shorts, and now we start the snowball situation where we come to the downside. And that's where it's like, hey, there is a lot of support here, right here at 42. But then if we lose that, there's support here at 36. But if we make this stuff happen very fast, we can see a very, very quick fall from $50,000 all the way down to, again, what I think is a significant level, 31.8, former resistance level. Historically, I've told you guys this before, historically, this is what we do in these I got to go to a different chart, in these pre-bull market rallies, which we are in right now. Take a look, 2019, significant resistance level. We blast through it. We go crazy high. We pull back down all the way to that level. Same as in 2016, we have a pretty significant resistance level. We blast through it, go super high. We pull back very, very quickly. There's a daily chart. Within about a week after hitting that high, we pulled all the way back down 40% to retest a former resistance line. We could see a mixture of 2019 and 2016 price analysis happen where, we have one more good push, just like we did here, maybe not as significant, but then instead of a very slow and gradual pullback, a very, very fast one, just like back here in 2016, and we end up retesting this resistance level, turning it into support. But like I said, it also would not surprise me in a season where everyone's expecting 31.8 to be the bottom. While that's probably where I'm going to buy, I'm going to be honest with you. Matty B, I'm not even sure if I'm convinced based off of the head and shoulders pattern. I almost have a really weird reason of thinking 28,000 is interesting because, like I said when he was here, if we 32, everyone's going to either think that's the bottom or we're falling all the way to 25. I think the perfect fake out scenario for an institution to steal your Bitcoin is to convince you lower prices are coming, and then they buy somewhere right here in a very awkward middle spot right here around $28,000 where there isn't a bottom or a top in that area. It's just a very boring looking space. I did see earlier before we move on the news, somebody, I think A said, can we look at the fixed range volume in that area? And I think it's actually a great idea. Let's take a look here. Let's actually go back. to when the last time, not back in the end of the bear market. Let's take a look at where volume was even all the way back here, and then we'll take a zoomed out look and a zoomed in look here. Value gap here at 25,000. That's one of the reasons why it's such a strong level. Look at that. Our next gap in volume sitting right here at 28,600. You guys know, I mean, those are the bottoms to me. The places to look for tops and bottoms where there's volume gaps. Look at another spot, 32,000. Look at another spot, 35,400. Look at another spot, 40,000. I mean, 40,700. And then, of course, we have the 45 and the 53 we talked about before. Zooming into a closer look here, just looking at this bullish trend. Where's our vulnerable spot? We do have a $30,300 value area high. Volume gap coming in here at 32.1. Very interesting stuff. And there's a chance we don't drop to any of these levels. But I am preparing you guys when you have these firm levels of support and resistance. They are strong support and resistance until they're not. And when you do, the more significant the strength of a level is, the more significant the blow through it will be if it is lost. And in this case, that 41,200 that T-Shirt was talking about, very strong support, love it. But the minute we lose it, it could get pretty ugly pretty fast to the downside to those lower levels. With that said, though, T-Shroom, it is time to transition into some news. It is 3:41. Make sure everyone go ahead and smash that like button if you have not already and hit that subscribe button. We are 600 subscribers away from our next $100 giveaway, but you got to be subscribed to be a part of that. T-Shirt, what do you have for us in the news today that's interesting? I can't hear you. If you might be muted.
Okay. I was muted so that Piano Matty B could do his awesome piano TA. I'd muted myself on that frame. I have one more chart I wanted to bring to you guys, and we will slip into the news. That chart is the Dixie, right? And I've got it pulled up here as it's related to Bitcoin, because there's a question in the chat. Crypto Dave said, what's the catalyst to generate that much selling action? I believe asking you, Tim, what you just discussed, would have to be a crash in the stock market or similar black swan, right? So the next Fed meeting isn't until the 30th, 31st. That could potentially be it, right? If Jerome Powell comes out and says, guys, we're actually not cutting in 2024, right? That would be pretty bearish. That could be pretty disturbing for the market for sure. The other thing is that CZ is to be sentenced. If there is any kind of news coming out, that he has done a deal with the DOJ, that could potentially compromise exchanges and the practices over exchanges that he knew about, right? That could also be pretty bearish. But that is kind of it. Well, of course, there's always the unknowns. But as far as what I'm tracking, that's kind of it. The only other one would be the dollar index, the Dixie, right? But this baby has been going up, and it's, if you look here on the daily chart, it's actually starting to hug the upper band of the Bollinger Band, which kind of means it's a little bit overheated in some sense. You can interpret it that way. Not always, but it can be interpreted that way, right? Which means that as Bitcoin is starting to kind of swing back and make a move to the upside, there could be a potential for the Dixie to cool off, move sideways as it did here, or even come back down in reverse, giving Bitcoin the green light to go ahead and make a move higher. Now, that, in my opinion, could be very significant, because what is everybody doing right now? Post-spot Bitcoin ETF, all the big money's on the sidelines saying, hey, if Bitcoin's going to go lower, I want to wait to deploy then, right? And if it starts to go higher, then they're going to get that FOMO. And I do start to think you see kind of that short squeeze, kind of maybe not parabolic, because we're not on the right side of the halving quite yet. But I do think that the upside there is great. There's a potential for great upside there.
Well, and you started us down a path here, T-Shroom, that it's awesome. But we got to take a look at that chart, and I want to show you guys something. The Bollinger Bands here that T-Shroom is referencing, they are not heavily constricted, right? So they constricted to a level, but this is one that, even though we're breaking to the upside right now, we don't have to break that crazy high right here. And look at what we've developed actually with two things below us. We have gaps on the Dixie. One we just created here recently on the daily chart that brings us back down to 102.18. And then we have one we set back here all the way in early January down towards 100. We have not come back to fill. And you can see very clearly, this is one that we create gaps all the time. We just fill them more often than not extremely quickly. With these two being on display here, If these move to the downside, that's also part of what could squeeze us to the upside. As far as you're talking about catalyst, though, I think you said
Yes.
Drew P asked about the catalyst to downside. Honestly, there's going to be an excuse in the news. There's going to be, but you don't need to know. This is a situation where I do believe for the next until the halving, most news is going to be noise. This is where you just need to use sentiment, basic understanding, and charts to kind of factor this out. Why do we dip back down to 31.2, 31.8, sorry, 28,000, 36,000, any of those levels? Because all of this hype that has gotten us up to 49,000 at this point, based off of hype of an ETF that brings in institutional money this early in, while they do not want volatility long term, the price that has come into it, it's easy to eliminate and create anti-hype or FUD and bring the prices back down. It's a saying we say a lot here. When retail misses the boat, sorry, it kind of just sucks. When institutions miss the boat, they bring the boat back. And you know what makes it really easy to bring the boat back? When you were the one that took the boat out in the first place. When you're driving the boat, they're driving the boat right now. This is all based off of their hype. They have the same ability to crush that hype so that they can go back and buy those cheap levels once again. That's the scenario. That's the catalyst for prices falling back down.
Which is what I think could have been what Vanguard was doing. That's, Vanguard kind of playing the bad cop for Wall Street, which, as we know, they communicate quite a bit. BlackRock coming out very unabashedly, blessing, the Bitcoin and saying, hey, we're going to release an ETF. We're going to make it so that it's very easy to get exposure to Bitcoin for the largest, piles of money in the world. It would make sense to kind of have how are we going to bring the boat back? Well, we could just have one of the biggest, one of our biggest competitors just kind of take the other side, and when it's convenient, we'll have them make a bunch of noise and then we'll fill our bags lower. And, according to the on-chain data, I don't have that pulled up right now. BlackRock has been buying, buying lower. So now I made a statement. I said that CZ and then the Fed could be big bearish catalysts. There are definitely other bearish catalysts, but those are the ones that come to mind. Another one that Tim has actually been clocking is potential regulation in the stablecoin industry, and we actually had a little bit of a flare up today in that exact industry. The United Nations says Tether plays a major role in illicit activity in the East Asia region. Stablecoin issuer hits back. So the details of this are somewhat relevant, but the point is that the UN, a major institution that's trusted by a lot of folks, a lot of financial institutions, a lot of governments, take what the UN says as pretty serious most of the time. So their comments on Tether are something that people are going to be taking note of. Now, on the same day, which we haven't been hearing a lot about stablecoins, all of a sudden we do hear about both sides, right? Chainlink is a totally different headline. Chainlink teams up with Circle to allow cross-chain stablecoin transfers. So this could be interpreted, this double headline day for stablecoins, these are big headlines. This could be interpreted as kind of like a king-making, right? Moment where, now that a lot more eyes are on the cryptocurrency industry today, after the Bitcoin spot ETF, event went positively, this could be kind of like the I see, coming into the industry for the first time. Tether are the bad guys, right? Circle are the good guys. They're teaming up with Chainlink, this other project that I really like. Oh, and the UN, my niece works for the UN. The UN says Tether bad. So that is some kind of just very blunt force kind of messaging that we are seeing today. And that is one of the narratives. So if something could happen to Tether over the next week or two, before the Fed kind of takes the news cycle back, that could potentially be the catalyst to push us down below that 41.2 level. Now, to the contrary of those two headlines, or at least the negative outcome from that, is the Wolf of All Streets, referencing here Cantor Fitzgerald, kind of going ahead and doing its own due diligence on the Tether backing of its stablecoin. Now, USDT, Cantor Fitzgerald LLP. Have I heard of this before? I haven't, right? But it's one of the largest and most respected financial institutions on the planet. To cut to the chase, basically they're saying Tether good, Tether not bad, right? So on the same day that the UN saying Tether bad. So there's a little bit of a battleground, as you can see right now, in that stablecoin industry. And Tim's been saying it all along. Tim, did either of these kind of headlines kind of jog anything for you? Is it stimulating any new thought?
It's noise. And so remember, I just said here a couple of minutes ago, it's noise. They're not going to need legit stories. They'll just make stuff up to do what they actually want to do. And that's an easy target. Going after stable coins, going after Tether, they've been doing it for years now. Every time they want to cool off price, let's just attack Tether. And then that means that the Bitcoin price will fall out. So I'm not surprised by this, but I also don't think it's significant. If anyone's reading those headlines and genuinely concerned, don't be. Tether's going to be all right. Prices are going to go up to the right. It's just their excuse to make some noise to try to dip some prices.
Right. Of course, it's FUD. I don't want anybody to think that I'm thinking that Tether is going down, right? The reason why I'm bringing it to your attention is because we haven't seen the stable coins kind of talked about too much in the news, and today we're seeing a flurry. So whenever I show you guys an article from like CoinDesk, right? If CoinDesk is covering it, probably every other crypto media is covering it, right? If it's coming from a website that maybe you've never heard of, then chances are that website kind of has the exclusive story to that because they got to it first. And then by the end of the day, it's going to be on CoinDesk. So just something to keep in mind. That's a little bit of a golden nugget there for the bros. Last story, Solana, new phone. Yay, everybody's happy. I'm not sure what to make of this, but probably going to have something to do with a meme coin at some point. I don't know. I don't know why.
You just get like a bunch of bonk when you buy the phone?
I don't know. Probably.
I mean, that's what made it says amongst increasing demand. Are they going off the demand of all the people who realize that they could make money by buying the phone because the amount of bonk they got for buying the phone was actually worth more than the phone? And a little interesting tidbit there. I wonder if they use the same marketing tactic. Probably not. I would imagine.
I think it's silly. I think what's not silly is potentially that Google and Apple saw what happened here and said, crypto plus devices equals sales. I wonder if if they have activated any teams thinking, hey, how could we maybe not in the next year or even two, but when crypto is kind of more mainstream, by 2026, do we think potentially we could be incorporating some incentives to buy our new devices, that people are caring less and less about the new versions of our devices, Samsung, whether it be Samsung or Apple. Maybe we should be incentivizing them with a little bit of bonk, right? Or a little bit of Pepe, whatever it might be. Apple Pepe. Apple Pay. We're getting crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Matty B's rubbing off on us.
I
love it.
Any other headlines we have?
That's gonna wrap it up from a headlines perspective. So
yeah.
Listen,
guys, it's time to strap on. And after like 3 months of just nonstop action, I'm not saying the action is completely coming to a close, but the news is slowing down here just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the perfect time to be watching price action, choosing your level. I mean, I hope that you guys are picking up on that. Like the discussion that we need to be having right now is, what are our buy and sell levels? I talked about this yesterday. You're not going to choose the perfect one, so choose a good one. Make a plan where you're ready for a lot of different levels, but just know where you want to buy, know where you want to sell, and go ahead and start acting on those things now. Because if you wait for the price to happen, like if you wait until you see 50,000 and you didn't decide, do you want to sell at 50,000? Do you want to sell at 48,000? Do you want to sell at 53,000? The wick will shoot up, get to your level, and you'll be like, oh, it's time to sell. And then before you know it, you blink your eye and prices back down to lower $40,000 levels. Same thing to the downside. Where are you going to buy? Put in your orders right now, because there's going to be more than likely, wherever the bottom is, whether that bottom is 36,000, whether that bottom is 32,000, whether the bottom is 28 or 25, I'm not going to be surprised to see a wick on the 5-minute candle that touches a low level and then shoots back up to higher ones. If you're not planning, then you're going to fail. And I guess that the quote goes, if you fail to plan, that's how it goes. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Make your plans happen right now. Let's engage with chat here. We got about 6 minutes left. It's been an amazing show. If you guys missed Matty B, go back to the beginning. He was phenomenal, giving us some great thoughts about price action for Bitcoin. doing some great job at piano. Great song. Love it. In honor of course, one of our one of our members here, Dave Digital. So that was pretty cool. What do you guys have for me? I think somebody, let's see here. Crypto Dave said the one phone NFT also worth 800 plus airdrops. You almost can't lose money on this phone. Is it still? But that's the question. Did we still? Oh, you're saying Bonk was just on an icing on the cake. So there was a lot there. You got an NFT that was worth a lot, and you got the Bonk. That's pretty cool. P9 says, can you do a stream 24 hours straight? If you're asking, are channels allowed to do that? Yeah, you can. You can stream 24 hours. If you're asking if me and T Shroom can stream for 24 hours straight, not at this point in time. I still need sleep. I'm sure T Shroom does as well. Also, we have other responsibilities throughout the day. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe in the next 5 years, maybe we're able. I mean, that was something T Shroom and I have talked about before, is potentially in the future going like live almost all day. And of course, we'll have like breaks to go eat something, breaks to, do other things. But maybe we start on this channel just like going live at like 9 a.m. as the market's open, and going all the way till 4 p.m. Not saying we're definitely going to do that, by the way, guys. Just saying that is a conversation T-Shirt and I have had. If you guys want to see us do that, you got to get our subscriber growth up and maybe even join that membership to help support us so that we can focus on this full time.
Let us know in the chat if you would want that. There's definitely a world where that happens, where we can, trade live and show you guys, our active trades and things like that. Get much more into like, day trading and things like that. But as of now, it's not possible for us to do something like that. Now, for major events, like maybe the halving, we could do an extended stream. It's not going to be 24 hours. I can tell you that right now. I don't know that I'll ever do a 24-hour stream unless it's some kind of crazy event. The Super Bowl sponsored by Cardano. I don't know, like what
that's
it would
still not
be.
a 24-hour. That's still not a 24-hour thing. So a message from Bedridden, but he's tracking it because R3A is the one that asked this, which is a great question. What are the perks for memberships? Well, the first perk is that you get a green name. You get a green name with badges, and you guys can see on those badges, there's different colors. I do believe yellow. So anyone you see with yellow, which shout out to all yellow badges, they are newer members. They've been a member for about a month or less. So love having them here. And then I think after 1 month, you get the red badges. Let's see. I might actually be able to. Let's take a look here. Go ahead and share my screen. Let's just walk through a scenario. You guys are just exploring, yada 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 yada. You're watching the video. You click this button right here, join. This is what you have. We recommend this one right here, BROZ, $4.99 a month. This is where all the perks are. If you really love us and you want to support us with $20 a month or $50 a month, you can do it. But all the memberships are right here. All right, here we go. Green. Sorry, green means you're new. Yellow means you've been here for a month. Red means you've been here for 2 months, I believe. Then there's a big gap. Blue is 6 months, and purple is a whole year. We are not a year old with the membership, so there are no purples, but you will see several blue. Those are some OGs. You get the green names. You get to use these cool emojis, but then also you'll get access to, for example, Bro Times, which, by the way, tonight, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a Bro Time. We will have one earlier in the day for all of our European members. Obviously, 5:30 p.m., depending on where you live in Europe, is pretty late at night. So we're going to have one maybe for a more American audience where you guys are finishing up work or just done with work. And then we're going to have another one maybe targeted towards European audience earlier in the day. But you had access to this. You also, when you come over and you join our Discord channel, this is a message between me and T-Stream. You guys can see some cool things right there. You can join our Discord. There's a free level, but then there's also some really cool stuff. Members only chat where we discuss super secret things that I'm showing you here right here. People are putting their charts in, putting it where they're trading, talking about coins. We also have a membership trading channel where we talk about the trades and trade setups that we're getting into and getting out of. These are all things for our members only. You have to be here though, because our members only streams are in Discord, because on YouTube, you just get to see our pretty faces, me and T-Shroom. But in Discord, we actually can bring up people on stage. You can talk to us. We can see you. It's a back and forth ordeal. So you can go back to BroCam here now, T-Shroom.
And a quick
Those are the perks.
I dropped a link in the description because it sounds like some people have memberships, but they don't know what to do with them. So I dropped a video in the live chat. Click that link and it will show you how to connect YouTube to Discord. If you don't have a Discord account, you're going to need to make one. That's where you start. You go into Discord. The video explains it. You go to a certain setting, and then you say connect to YouTube. It's going to ask to connect to what YouTube account you want to connect it to. You just authorize the right one. Just like you would log into some website through Google. It's kind of like that. And then they're paired, and then Discord can see this is someone who's a member of this channel. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you're off to the races in the Discord. And that's just one of the perks of the membership.
I forgot. The other one is anytime we do uploads, members get access to them early. Like, so for example, every single morning I'm shooting a video probably somewhere around 7:30. It doesn't go live for the public until 8:30, but as soon as I'm done shooting it, it goes public to all of the members. So you get early access there as well. Those are the perks of the membership. And then of course, the other perk is you guys get to be called one of the bros here with the Investing Bros growing group.
Yes. Now I shared. I had a Crypto Seth on this morning, and since you've stayed this whole time, whether live or watching afterwards, I've got a concept. And Tim, I kind of want to get your input in real time here, and let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments what do you think about this. So 9 a.m. What if I did Mondays for project reviews? So you come in and you drop tickers, and it's not TA so much. Might do a little TA, but it's gems, right? And I'm not calling myself a gem hunter. I'm not a gem hunter, but I can get you from like
more of a gem explorer.
Gem explorer, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll take you on a safari for the gems. And just on Mondays we do that, and you can do super chats, and then members can be prioritized in the projects, and then also that will, if people like that and there's demand for it, then we will add a gem review Discord channel, which I've actually been getting help with from some of our members, existing members who really want that. But there's got to be more demand for it. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Do you want me to do Mondays only gem reviews on that 9 a.m. slot? Let me know.
I like it. And maybe what you do is the members get to find out before the show what gems you're going to be reviewing.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be interesting. Like I bring one to the channel too. Like here's the problem with that is I was talking to Seth about was like the more that's going to incentivize you to go into the more less certain gems, and that's not necessarily favorable because then next thing you know you're kind of not endorsing or blessing, but that's how unfortunately on YouTube things are interpreted. You're endorsing some kind of BS coin versus if you're just letting them come in and you're grading them A, B, C, or D, that can be more favorable for everybody. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Cryptic Mac just put in, I want to be a junior gem explorer. That's an interesting concept. Yeah, we definitely. Yeah, that's the other cool thing. And we're gonna wrap up the show, guys. It's 4:03. We got to get out of here. It is time for us to move on. But that's the other cool thing about our community. It's not just about me and T Shroom. Every single one of you guys are an avid part. We want to learn from you as well because I don't have an expertise in every single category. I like TA. I like sentiment. I love following the macro stuff. But there's so many of you guys who do some studying in different areas that there are other people out there. They want to hear your thoughts. That's what we want to build this community into being the number one community, in having some amazing content education, but also engagement, community, and uplifting of one another. If that's something you guys love, A, subscribe to the channel. B, like every single video so the algorithm then sends this to more people. And then C, become one of the members. Join the conversation every single day over there in our Discord. With that said, though, guys, that's all we have for you in this video. Again, go follow Piano Matty B and let us know if you want to see him on again in the very near future. With that said, though, guys, we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. You guys have a fantastic evening.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. money like Lego. Connect the dots like banking. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.